Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for attending this session, which actually brings to a close the series of solution sessions held in this room over the 2 days of the International Vienna Energy and Climate Forum. My name is Zin Benjeloun. I'm responsible for external engagement within corporate sustainability team at OCP Group, and I will be your moderator for this session. Welcome to you all in the room and online as the session is live streamed. This session, organized by OCP Group, was made possible thanks to the pleasant collaboration with the forum's organizers, whom I would thank very much, especially the UNIDO team. Before introducing our panelists, allow me to briefly introduce OCP Group. With a century of experience, OCP is a pioneer in plant nutrition solutions and the world's largest producer of phosphate-based fertilizers. OCP provides a range of customized fertilizer products to enhance soil, increase agricultural yields, and help feed the planet in a sustainable and affordable way. Headquartered in Morocco and present on 5 continents, OCP works in close partnership with more than 350 customers across the world. Closer to home, OCP is committed to accelerating Africa's environmental and social development and implementing sustainable and prosperous agriculture through continuous innovation. As the custodian of the world's largest reserves of phosphates, the group is actively working to simultaneously accelerate progress towards 2 of the UN Sustainable Development Goals, zero hunger and climate action. Now, because fertilizers play a crucial role in securing and ensuring global food security, how to decarbonize the fertilizer production value chain is the question to which our esteemed panelists will answer from their different perspectives. So, without further ado, I want you to please join me in extending a very warm welcome to our esteemed panelists, whose expertise will guide us through this conversation. Today, we are privileged to have with us online Mr. Naufal Mahdar, who is Vice President Climate Action and Decarbonization at OCP since 2020. Prior to that, Naufal spent over 15 years in various technical and managerial functions at Total and BP, involved within major projects in the deep water and harsh environments in Northern Europe, Africa, and Middle East. From 2016 to 2020, Naufal managed a North African investment fund ventures in energy storage and recycling. Naufal holds a Master of Science and Engineering from the École Centrale de Paris in France and is graduated from French Institute of Petroleum. Naufal Mahdar, thank you for joining us today. We don't hear you actually.
Hello, thank you Zine for this nice introduction and happy to be with you today.
Thank you, Naufal. Ms. Yusra Souaf is also here with us today. She's Senior Project Leader at IVECF since 2021, managing the industrial development of new projects, mainly in Power-to-X and green ammonia. Before, she worked for GESA, a joint venture between Worley and OCP for 9 years, where she drove front-end engineering design projects within OCP's industrial development program. Yusra holds an engineering degree from Mohammedia School of Engineering in Morocco and an executive MBA from Africa Business School and Columbia Business School. Yusra Souaf, thank you so much for being here with us today.
Thank you, Zine. Thank you, Zine, for the introduction.
Welcome, Ms. Souaf. Today, we are also pleased to have Mr. John Alami taking part in this conversation online. He's Professor of Plasma and Surface Technology, Head of Materials Science, Energy and Nano Engineering Department, and holder of the Energy Sustainability Chair at Mohammed VI Polytechnic University, UM6P, since 2016. Dr. Alami has a doctorate in plasma physics and a PhD in thin film physics from the University of Linköping in Sweden. Following postdoctoral research at Aachen University in Germany, he joined industry where he held the position of research and innovations manager. And in 2011, he founded an R&D company and simultaneously occupied the position of adjunct professor for 3 years at the prestigious Shanghai Institute of Ceramics, Chinese Academy of Science. Dr. Alami has more than 130 peer-reviewed publications and 30 patents and patent applications. Such an exciting experience we will be digging into later on. Dr. Jones Alami, it's a pleasure to have you with us today.
Thank you very much, Zina, for the introduction, and good afternoon, everybody.
Thank you so much. So welcome to you all, ladies and gentlemen, to this conversation. We will spend in the next 50 minutes discussing together. So I encourage our audience in the room to keep their questions warm for the Q&A session around the last 15 minutes. All right, let's dive in. As mentioned earlier, sustainability is the heart of OCP strategy, which includes a strong commitment to combating climate change. So my first question goes to you, Mr. Naufal Mahdar. Could you tell us more about the decarbonization strategy of OCP Group? How does this translate into the decarbonization of its value chain?
Thank you very much, Zineb. May I share some slides? I want to.
Yes, please.
To attest how sustainability in general and climate action decarbonization is embedded within our DNA. So some of our strong and ambitious commitment to contribute to sustainable development goals fixed in the UN agenda. So we're committed to get our scope 1 and 2 carbon neutral by 2030. And more widely, we are committed to carbon neutrality on the 3 scopes by 2040. We are also committed to 100% green electricity by 2026, and this is including the perspectives of growth that we have. Today, we are at 87% of our electricity coming from clean sources, carbon-free, other cogeneration or power purchase agreements of wind energy. By 2026, we are also committed to be 100% autosufficient on water consumption from non-conventional sources, either desalination or wastewater treatment. Actually, we will reach that goal by end of 2024, and we have a more ambitious plan on water and the resilience in general, and to support Morocco's fight for water availability for cities and agriculture. We have commitment for communities where we operate, and commitment for rehabilitation and mine reclamation, and forest and plantation of 10 million trees by 2040. We are already on top of the 4.5 million trees that we have already planted in the last decade. So a rate of 500,000 trees planted each year on our mines and or the lands around, and reclaiming every year twice of the land we exploit. Best in class for emission and influence. We are much lower than the international standards, and we take as a reference the World Bank standards, and we are even much lower than that. We are committed to exploiting all resources from the phosphate rock, including other rare metals and elements. Committed to implement smart and sustainable agriculture. We will see it later on all the campaigns that we are doing for smallholder farmers, and committed as well to make our waste a new source of value and recycle all our waste. On a global roadmap, this is what we can call our strategy for decarbonization and reaching our goals of carbon neutrality on scope 1 and 2 by 2030 and carbon neutrality on the 3 scopes by 2040. This is including our operations and indirect emissions. On what you see on this slide over all our value chain, some of the actions are already achieved, and some, as you can see, are planned. So by our cogeneration, exploiting the fatal heat from our operations, we already avoid the emissions of 2 million tons of CO2 per year. We already have constructed a slurry pipeline between our mines and the fertilizer complex over 200 kilometers using only gravity, mostly gravity for transferring the slurry of the mine over 200 kilometers, and that's allow the avoidance of emissions of 665,000 tons of CO2 per year, and at full capacity we will be at 1 million of tons of CO2 avoided, on top of the water that we don't have to dry and re-wet at the complex again. So at full capacity, 3 million cubic meter of water saved as well. On what is planned, we have an ambitious solar plan of solar and wind plan, or renewable in general, that 1.2 gigawatt for reaching the self-sufficient on the electricity, clean electricity. That will be this 1.2 gigawatt capacity will allow the saving of 1.8 million tons of CO2 emissions per year. Today, we are already engaged in or committed to a power purchase agreement today that is already effective, and that's already achieved. And with that, we save almost 400,000 tons of CO2 emissions per year. On next plan, what is coming, we are, maybe you have seen, we have announced that we are committed to building a plant of 1 million ton of green ammonia by 2027 for our own consumptions, and also 3 million tons of green ammonia by 2032. So by 2027, that's 1 million that avoid that avoid the generation or the emissions of more than 2 million tons of CO2 per year. This is on top of what we are doing on using green hydrogen for drying fertilizer, for drying phosphates, and also all the efforts that we are deploying with farmers to abate the emissions coming from nitrogen-based fertilizers, on top of sequestration of CO2 by promoting sustainable practices and carbon farming. So this is our plan for electricity. We are already at 87% of electricity that coming from clean sources, and we are deploying a $2.3 billion US dollars plan for reaching 100% provision from clean electricity by 2026. On the resilience side, we are committed to building by 2027 560 million, producing 560 million cubic meters of non-conventional water. This is almost 5 times more than our need, but this is mostly to supply the surrounding cities where we are operating, and also the farming communities, and to help Morocco in its strategy of fighting against the drought that make Morocco one of the 21 countries most stressed hydrically in the world. I already touched base on that. We have done a major technical challenge, achieved a major technical challenge of a slurry pipeline over 200 kilometers. That's allowing today the avoidance of emissions of 665,000 tons of CO2 per year. Today, we are saving the use of 1 million cubic meter of water for re-wetting the rock when it arrives at the fertilizer complex. At full capacity, it will be 3 million cubic meter of water that will be saved. Also, we are a big promoter of sustainable agriculture. Our campaigns of Agri-Booster has touched already 2 million smallholder farmers in Africa. And we are also deploying a lot of other campaigns in Brazil, in other many countries to promote the decarbonization of the agriculture and the food systems in general via sustainable practices, via innovation, via accompanying farmers with education and helping them with finance and the resources. So we have launched many pilots and work for carbon farming as well, either promoting cover crops, no-till farming, crop rotation, reduce inputs, using technologies. We are already at 20,000 hectares in Morocco, and we have launched also pilots in Brazil on top of the agri-boosters and the school lab campaigns that we have in Africa. And we are promoting many startups that are using new technologies for MRVs to make it more accessible to farmers and to make carbon certification more accessible and more affordable technically and economically for farmers, and reward them for the sustainable practices that we are promoting. So all these efforts that we're deploying are being recognized by the most stringent standards in the world and the most recognized organizations. Moody's is ranking us the best mining and metal company in emerging markets. Our management of greenhouse gases is ranked as strong by Sustainalytics. We have ranked number 4 over 300 companies in the global food and agriculture systems in the World Benchmark Alliance. And in the CDP, we're A- score, which is the best score over all the fertilizer complex industry or fertilizer industry worldwide. We have also declared our support to the TCFD 2 years ago. Last year, we have submitted our targets to science-based targets, and this year we got the approval, so which make us the only fertilizer company in the world that has its decarbonization targets approved by and validated by science-based targets, which is a guarantee that our ambitious is strong, that our plan is robust, and that the tracking of it is serious.
Wow.
So thank you, Zineb, and thank you all, and happy to answer any question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Naufal Mahdar. Congratulations for all the recognitions. It's actually really amazing to see such ambition and behind all the work implemented. The rating agencies also recognize the innovation at the heart of OCP strategy, and which is let's say, a major lever for accelerating the achievement of the carbon neutrality ambitions. Could you give us a few concrete examples, please, Mr. Naufal?
About innovation, well, innovation is in our DNA today, and Professor Alami will be better placed than me to speak about it, because he's in part of the University Mohammed VI, which OCP was the founder of it, and all the successes today we see with UM6P and the innovation that they are driving is make us proud, but also is serving our agenda for decarbonization and fighting climate change. And we see all, I touched best on it, but I can develop more. We have a lot of partnerships, and through UM6P or independently, we are promoting a lot of technologies, for example, for agriculture, a lot of digital platforms, and especially for MRV. We are pushing startups, accelerating startups on many technologies, such as mathematic modeling with Regrow, the American startup, with the Agrorobotica in Brazil, which is using spectroscopy, laser-induced breakdown spectroscopy to analyze the carbon content in the soil. So we are launching many remote sensing as well. We are launching many technologies towards farmer to make this the practices that they are deploying worldwide are more trackable, more traceable, let's say, and much cheaper for them, to make carbon certification for them less a hassle and more rewarding. On top of what we are doing as innovations, not only in the farming side, on the green ammonia side, we are launching pilots with the university in Jorf for testing different technologies for green hydrogen and green ammonia. So many innovation is part of DNA, and we are pushing it either on technology side or agriculture side.
Thank you very, very much, Mr. Naufel Mahdar, for sharing that with us. Very interesting indeed to get an understanding of the overview of what you're working on right now to decarbonize the whole fertilizer production value chain. For more than a century, ammonia has been used as a base ingredient in fertilizers. So in fact, if we want to decarbonize a major component of fertilizer production, which is ammonia, and whose production emits high levels of greenhouse gases, it's imperative the world makes a decisive shift to the production of green hydrogen to make green ammonia at scale. So I want to give the floor to you, Ms. Yusra Souaf, to please tell us more about the green ammonia program launched by OCP precisely for this purpose, and how does it fit into the overall sustainability approach for the group. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zainab. So indeed, I think you very well introduced the subject. So today OCP is producing around 12 million tons of fertilizer, and is projecting to upscale its production to 20 million ton by 2027. We know that fertilizer is only the tip of the iceberg when it comes to all the value chain and the supply chain of the fertilizers. And one main ingredient to producing fertilizers is ammonia. So if we go green on ammonia, we go green on fertilizers. The major part in making ammonia is making green ammonia, is making green hydrogen. So green hydrogen comes from electrolysis, where we separate oxygen from hydrogen, and then we use that hydrogen with the nitrogen that comes from the air to produce the ammonia. And all this process is zero greenhouse gases emissions. So the perspective to make green ammonia comes to feed this whole sustainability and environmental let's say adventure that OCP is getting into. And for that, there are multiple projects ongoing. And the major project currently ongoing within the industrial development investment, which is about a $7 billion investment opportunity for OCP to build a 1 million ton green ammonia project. And that green ammonia project will be built in Tarfaya. Tarfaya is in the southern region of Morocco. It's a region where wind and solar energy is very abundant. So we will be producing around 4 gigawatt of renewable energy to feed into the plant to be able to produce about 1.9 gigawatt of electrolysis and 1 million ton of green ammonia to start production by 2027. And that's only a first step. The second step will be to produce 3 million ton by 2032. And the idea is to completely supply all the currently imported ammonia by OCP to feed into the fertilizer industry, to completely feed that need from these projects. So this, I think, it kind of englobes a bit what's going on in terms of projects. So there are other projects that, for example, a 200 kiloton ammonia plant that is currently also being developed and will be positioned in Jorflasfar. And that venue is going to be more like a learning hub on an industrial scale to feed in with all new technology the coming bigger sizes projects.
Wow, thank you so much. And as mentioned earlier, you're part of Innovex. So please tell us a little about this company and what is the role that plays Innovex in implementing the green ammonia program.
Yes, so Innovex has been created by OCP through UM6B in 2021. It is a company that is in charge of developing all the new technology and pioneer new industry for OCP in Morocco. Just in a quick glance, I think Innovex is all about sustainability. I don't want to dive much into that, but to introduce a bit how Innovex is built around this vision is to Innovex operates around 5 segments, but majorly energy, chemicals, and agri and water. It's about creating an ecosystem of industries that work around this subject and to innovate in all the technology selections, not to be too, let's say, conventional. So we don't want to be conventional. We still want to be conventional in all what is already being confirmed as innovations, but also to be bold enough and go search for new technologies that would help us be more sustainable and less carbon producing. Also, Innovex is funding lots of new projects and has an investment fund called BIDRA that is being installed in the United States, but being managed by Innovex.
Okay, thank you so much, Ms. Souaf. And actually, you highlighted the fact that it's not only a matter of producing green ammonia, but also having and building a whole industrial vision around it. And I would say that it starts at the university with researchers, with R&D, which brings me to you, Dr. John Salami. Are you with us?
I'm with you.
Perfect. So as an academic and manager of research, how do you see the role of a research university such as Mohammed VI Polytechnic University in addressing the challenges of climate change in Morocco and in Africa?
Thank you for the question, dear Zainab. Well, as I see it, and I think as both my panel colleagues already insinuated, the role of a university in addressing climate change challenges is actually multifaceted. This is quite well manifested at UM6P in several actions that aim to first foster various forms of research, including fundamental, applied, and industry research, to offer a range of education programs spanning undergraduate studies, engineering and research studies, and also considering that we have observed that forward-thinking universities, they typically are targeting entrepreneurship in their offerings as well. So UM6P aligns with this trend, as we believe it is a crucial approach to tackling climate change challenges. The complexity of these issues necessitates an environment that where innovation is deeply ingrained in the university's fabric, meaning that it is embedded in the programs, the culture, and also the identity of the university. So at UM6P, we focus and we follow a specific methodology We initiate exercises that encourage stakeholders to engage in understanding the Moroccan context, which involves, of course, identifying strengths and weaknesses, determining Morocco's and ecosystem's position in the African and global context, and also identifying key partners and discerning the needs and challenges at hand. So, for instance, when addressing decarbonization, which is a critical aspect of climate change, we recognize that it is a complex endeavor that depends greatly on the scope considered for greenhouse gas emissions. So by leveraging multidisciplinary research and education programs, UM6P together with OCP Group, of course, and are addressing all scopes, 1, 2, and 3, greenhouse gas emissions to ensure carbon-free enterprise by 2040, as my colleague Nofel has mentioned. So I would like to also emphasize that these efforts involve a multidisciplinary collaborative approach driven by a clear vision and purpose, and the establishment of international partnerships and collaborations, including those within our own continent, Africa. So this allows us to finally engage in bridging the gap between industry and academia. So what I'm trying to say that it's necessary to establish the ground for those kind of collaborations, for those kind of partnerships, which is for us actually another priority, and helps us focus on developing innovative education and training programs for further enhancement of the impact of our endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Adami. With such ambitious objectives in diverse fields such as agriculture, water, and green energy, was wondering what are the specific actions that has taken UM6P to train adequate and impactful human capital capable of accompanying this energy transition?
Yeah, thank you. So when it comes to education and training, I'm constantly reflecting on the underlying goals and objectives, especially in fields as dynamic as climate change and green energy. So there are several reasons for this. First and foremost, it is the need for awareness. The ever-evolving changes and the challenges in our world, be it from climate change, the urgent demand for sustainable agricultural practices, or the rapid advancements in digitalization and AI, these all demand a continuous re-evaluation of our approach. In my view, educating the next generation of researchers and engineers should go beyond technical proficiency. We should take in consideration this ever-changing environment and the new different dimensions that need to be taken in consideration for an efficient education. So it should also, and research of course, so it should also encompass adaptation, innovation, and an entrepreneurial mindset. What it means at UM6P is that we are dedicated to crafting educational experience that reflects these principles. And I believe we are making significant progress. Our programs place a strong emphasis on multidisciplinarity, as well as what I refer to as power skills. Power skills, typically known as soft skills, but actually they're empowering our youngs through effective communication, leadership, augmented humanity, collective intelligence, and critical thinking. So having those elements in education programs are actually necessary for an efficient education of the future, and also for efficient research that is impactful and innovative. In fact, if we examine shortly the current job market, we recognize that it increasingly seeks experts who are not only technically proficient, but also capable of constant innovation and facing challenges head on. Which of course includes a willingness to take risks and explore new solutions, as well as an ability to adapt quickly and to change. So it is clearly a shift in the traditional education paradigm, and I believe our success hinges on how urgently we address this educational imperative. What I described here is what I otherwise call the entrepreneurial mindset. And it is in this context that I would like to give my take on entrepreneurship, because typically people think of entrepreneurship as creation of startups, but I think it's more than that. Entrepreneurship embodies the actions, all actions that's taken by individuals or groups that unleash creativity and energy, ultimately leading to the creation of new economic, social, institutional, and cultural environments. So it's really a culture, a state of being, and this is the mindset we aim to install not only in our students, but also in our researchers, administrators, collaborators, and beyond. It's a commitment to add in value through the liberation of energy and the establishment of values that have the potential to drive change and make a meaningful impact. So witnessing young engineers and researchers that embrace this entrepreneurial spirit, working tirelessly with a clear sense of purpose towards making an impact, a real impact, is truly indescribable. I'm proud to say that UM6P, this spirit is very much alive and thriving. It serves as a continuous source of motivation and hope, not just for me personally, but for our stakeholders, and particularly for OCP, Innovex, and all other partners that we are working with.
Thank you so much, Mr. John Salami. I'm proud to say, too, that through the different presentations, we've seen some of the main ingredients necessary to accelerate the transition to high-yield, climate-positive agriculture to combat climate change and enhance food security. Today, OCP is investing in new industrial capabilities, talent pool, cutting-edge soil health science, tech innovation, collaboration, and financial partnerships to make possible the transition to climate-positive agriculture and decarbonize its own value chain. Now, I want to take time to acknowledge our dear audience once again and to thank you all for being with us here. We are going to take maybe some questions from you. Don't hesitate if you have any question. Yes, please.
First of all, thank you very much.
Here is the mic.
Okay, thank you very much for a very, very interesting presentation. I have a quick question in relationship to advances in technologies, which I believe could be an additional advantage to the way fertilizers interact with the soil, and I'm thinking specifically of nanotechnologies. My understanding is that in recent years, or maybe even decades, I don't know when the process started, but with the development of nanotechnologies, there are now possibilities to actually develop molecules at a nano level that are much better absorbed by the plants, so they give better produce, not only in terms of quantity, but also in terms of quality. And at the same time, because they are much smaller and better absorbed, not only do you need less quantity, which will contribute to decarbonization by default because the production would be reduced, but also increase the quality of the soil because more is absorbed and less is left in the soil that, as you know, fertilizers, when they're heavily used, damage the soil on the long term. So I was wondering what OCP has been doing in that field, if anything, and what are the prospects in the coming years. Thank you very much.
Dr. Johns, maybe the question is intended to you.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
For the question. I'll try to answer it, although I'm not an agriculture person, but I work with nanotechnology. And I think what nanotechnology allows us to do is to understand the micro level, the molecular level interactions between the different elements. For example, what happens at the surface of a seed when when it's generating, what happens when it's in the soil, what kind of chemical reactions are taking place when they are being stored. And I think the understanding of these mechanisms at the molecular level allows us to understand the interactions, as I mentioned, and then allows us also to make better choices when it comes to seeds, seed engineering, seed enhancement as well, to understand what kind of soils, for example, if we at the nano level know exactly what kind of elements are active in a soil, which ones are not so active, destructive, probably need to be eliminated. How can we engineer, for example, our fertilizers to play a role in making those soils much more efficient in feeding the seed that we put in? So you see that nanotechnology at every level of agriculture can be used to enhance the productivity and the quality of agriculture. I hope I answered your question.
So maybe I should just add a little bit to that. So OCP has been revolutioning their way of doing fertilizers. So they went into MAP and like NPKs, and I mean, it's several descendants and fertilizer families that are close to what you just described. It's true that today we do not have the person with the knowledge to answer specifically your question, but indeed our agri business line is definitely looking into new technology fertilizers and trying to revolution the way we produce fertilizers. So if you're interested, we can get your contact and send you more information.
Definitely. Thank you, Ms. Zoaf. Do you want to ask, is there any other question in the room? Yes, please. It's okay.
Thank you for the presentation. Well, considering OCP that's 30% or so of the world phosphate fertilizer production, which is impressive. Have you had meetings with your competitors, in a sense, to get them to do some of the same green initiatives that you're doing? Because there's nothing really, secret in a sense, but it's good for everyone if they can follow the same things that you're doing.
Maybe, do you want me to answer this question?
Okay, please go ahead, Nofel. Thank you so much.
Yeah, well, of course, we are part of many sectorial associations, either the International Fertilizer Association, where we have conducted with our peers from Norway, from Canada, from Middle East, all our peers, we have conducted studies with the experts and to recommend how we could mitigate and decrease or abate the emissions linked to fertilizers for production, but especially for the use at the farmer level, because we would succeed only if we give positive or a positive business plan or model to the farmer. We cannot make the farmer carry the burden of the decarbonization. We have to empower the farmer, bring the finance, and bring the technology to that. So we have even produced a document for our positions that was released for the COP27. And we are continuing this effort. We are also doing it also for South countries in the South-to-South cooperation. We are part of the Arab Fertilizer Associations. And we have even been awarded in October the prize of the most sustainable fertilizer company in the Arab world by the Arab Fertilizer Association. But the meaning of that is not to get the prize, is to share, and to set the objective for all the sectors. And we are happy to see that other companies joining the SBT's science-based target initiatives, and also from the South companies, some companies more and more conscious of innovation and sustainability for contributing to the climate change mitigation.
Thank you so much, Mr. Mahdar. Yes, more questions by here.
Good afternoon. Niels Schultz, I'm from UNIDO, from the Agro Innovation and Bioeconomy Unit. Thank you very much for the presentation. That is very interesting to see as we are all talking about getting regenerative agriculture to scale and to address this food, energy, water system interconnectedness. There are two aspects of technology that I would be interested in, to what extent you're using it already or integrating it in your portfolio, and one of that is mycorrhizal inoculation, as this is one pathway to make phosphates better plant available. And the second complex would refer to pyrogenic carbon and biochar, to what extent you are integrating that as well, as this is energy related and climate.
Thank you so much, sir. I don't know if Dr. Alami has some information about that.
Not really. I know that there are projects in the use of biochar for regenerative agriculture, for regenerative soil, but I don't have any details of that. Maybe Naufal can chip in.
Oh, we are working on biochar and biomass in general, and we have not only biochar but biomass in general. We are looking at how to integrate that in our operations. We have many tracks, including with the University of Mathematics, not with the Professor Yunus, but with the Texel centers, on looking at how to do the gasification, etc. But anyway, to integrate that into complex processes of drying, and we are looking at how to integrate that, but nothing yet at the execution level. But we have pilots ongoing.
Okay, thank you so much. I saw another hand, maybe, or it's maybe time to wrap up? Yes, of course.
Thank you, Madame Jalloun, and thank you for all the presentations. Actually, I have two questions. The first one, I think Dr. Alami mentioned the multi-stakeholder partnership. OCP recently signed a certain number of partnership agreement recently with IFC, with the African Development Bank. You joined recently the World Economic Forum. I wanted just to know which kind of collaboration we have with the international institution. Second question, I was impressed actually by the decarbonization roadmap, and the OCP is operating in an ecosystem when you have a certain number of partners, including subcontractors. What you are doing actually to make sure also that your subcontractors are respecting, the same standards in terms of sustainability. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Hanzaz. Naufal, maybe you're smiling.
Mm-hmm.
Those last questions are for you.
I think you can answer some of them, but concerning international corporations such as IFC, which is part of the World Bank, we are very proud of the cooperation with them, and what it is telling. IFC, when they sign partnerships, they audit a lot of the green part of it, and not only the green part, the social part, the human rights part, and that's why we are proud of it. And we see the cooperation with IFC as a very long-term and serving also our sustainability social agenda. And we have signed for water projects as part of resilience and adaptation. We have signed for $100 million. We have signed another $100 million for the solar projects to achieve our objective of 100% electricity green. And all these organizations, and we have other 2 more projects to come that will be announced with IFC, big financing projects that will be with these for COP28 that are planned to be communicated in COP28. We are also part of WBCSD, we are part of the World Economic Forum, etc. But we are part of these organizations to communicate the voice of the South, the voice of Africa, and to show that Africa is not only a receptacle to receive recommendations, technologies, but also Africa and can set the standard and can be a leader and can get the best grades, best investments, but also to voice our particularities, our constraints, and on technologies, and also on our industry, phosphate-based, that is not fertilizer that are not well known, and sometimes we see the standards that are made are not very adapted to that, and we need to sit at the table with those standard makers to make the objectives ambitious, but also achievable. And that was the first question. The second question, sorry, it was about decarbonization.
And about subcontractors.
Subcontractors.
Yeah, exactly.
What is, we are engaged, yes, in a big project that is also mandatory with the SBTi and CDP on supplier and value chain engagement. So we have engaging with many suppliers and clients to first, thanks for transparency, to give us the data and to see what is how much carbon they are generating with their operations, and also to sensibilize our clients to their carbon footprint and environmental footprint. And this is a long journey. We are now at selection of our collection of all the data from them, and what we discovered is that 98% of our footprint for supply chain is coming from 2 things, from ammonia and sulfur. That makes things complicated, but makes things also easier, because 80% of our raw material supply is coming from ammonia. And this is, we will be turning it around completely with our projects of integrating green ammonia into our projects. So this big footprint would be completely abated. For sulfur, we are engaged with our suppliers as well, because it's 1/6 or 1/5 of our ammonia footprint, the sulfur, and we're engaged as well how to see which regions are bringing the low-level sulfur. And the same thing, we are doing it also with our subcontractors in Morocco. But our particularity is we have 2 raw materials that constitute the biggest part of our footprint.
Thank you so much, Naufel. As I mentioned before, OCP Group is actively working on simultaneously accelerating the 2 SDGs, Zero Hunger and Climate Action. But SDG 17 is the key to be able to achieve such ambition. So the right partnerships, and we are working to have the right partners to join forces and be able to achieve such huge ambition through all the different international institutions and the partners that have been mentioned before. So if I think it's time to close the session, it was really a great and wonderful session. Thank you for spending your most valuable, I will say, and precious asset, which is time, your time. It's time to thank our speakers for participating and making this session really great. Please join me in giving them a round of applause for their valuable contribution. So let's please do. Of course, again, thank you everyone, the organizers, the speakers, the audience. We'll say congratulations for the success of this great forum, the International Vienna Energy and Climate Forum. Special thanks to UNIDO, and keep well. And this concludes our session. Thank you so much.